This would help make Sheriff a very attractive prospect for young players all around the world who are looking for a club that can help propel them into the limelight. The potentially sad reality with Sheriff is that their undisputed success at a domestic level could actually be what limits them in the long term.
But I see it better now, cause everything you do only says you gotta figure it out.
What's up guys, George Lyons here and welcome back to the Soccernomics YouTube channel, and you're watching The Rounds. And before you say anything, yes, I know I'm blonde. Thought I'd try and do my best Todd Cantwell impression, and it is a bit of a work in progress, but we'll get there. Before we kick off today's episode, as usual guys, just gonna let you know to hit that subscribe button if you are new. If you like football content, you like the economics behind football, football finance, that sort of stuff, then this is the channel for you. So hit that subscribe button and continue watching. Sheriff Tiraspol, at the time of filming this episode, are one game away from qualifying for this year's Champions League group stage for the first time in their history. And yet, no one knows who they are. No one knows a single player. I bet you don't even know what country they're from. Well, that one is actually a bit of a confusing one, but we'll get to that shortly. Anyway, you get the idea. They are relatively unknown to people like you and I, and yet they're about to compete in the biggest competition in club football. So who are they, and how have they qualified for this year's Champions League? Bearing in mind they don't lose the second leg by a comfortable amount. Sheriff Tiraspol sure sounds like a bit of a dodgy country western film crossed with a Soviet spy film, but you really couldn't be more wrong. Previously known as Tiraspol, Sheriff are from the city of Tiraspol, which is the second largest city in the Eastern European country of Moldova. Formed in 1996, the club play in the Moldovan National Division, or as they call it, the Divizia Națională. Sounds Italian, but that is because Moldova mainly speaks Romanian, and Romanian as a language is actually a Romance language, which is similar to Italian as they both derive from Latin. Sheriff were promoted to the top flight of Moldovan football after winning the 97-98 Moldovan A Division, and have since won the top flight of Moldovan football the past 19 of 21 seasons. The only exceptions came in the 2010-11 season and 2014-15 season, when Dacia Chisinau and Milsami Orhei, I think I pronounced those correctly, but I definitely butchered it, both took the titles respectively, and since then Dacia Chisinau have actually disbanded in, I believe, 2017. However, despite being the most successful club in Moldovan football history, Sheriff don't actually consider themselves Moldovan. In fact, Tiraspol is actually the capital of the unrecognized country Pridnestrovie, otherwise known as Transnistria, a small strip of land in the northernmost province of Moldova. Despite not being a universally recognized country, Transnistria is actually a de facto independent, semi-presidential republic, meaning that although they aren't recognized by laws, there are practices in place that exist in reality, such as their own government, their own parliament, they even have their own currency, they even have their own flag, which, interestingly enough, bears the famous Soviet hammer and sickle, indicating their close ties that they used to have with the Soviet Union. Pridnestrovie is roughly split into three ethnic groups: Russians, Moldovans, and Ukrainians. However, it seems that once the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the ethnically Russian side of Transnistria didn't want to be a part of the newly formed Moldova, who were seeking to be closer with their neighbours Romania. The name Sheriff derives from their ownership, which is of course Sheriff, the second largest company based in Transnistria. They specialise in everything from supermarkets to petrol stations to construction. They even have their own TV channels. They even have their own spirits, which is just typical of Eastern Europeans. Sheriff Tiraspol Stadium is even called Sheriff Stadium. Basically what I'm saying here is Sheriff is a company / brand that has a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. This is sort of the equivalent of KFC owning a football club and then changing the name to KFC Arsenal. Got a nice ring to it, to be honest. Now, of course, I'm joking. Before you go ahead and say it, it's obviously a crime to football. So why is any of this relevant? Well, think about this for a second. There's a good reason why no Moldovan football club has ever competed in the Champions League. Much like most Eastern European teams, there's not a lot of money. So the fact that the second largest company in Moldova owns Sheriff Tiraspol, you can imagine this has created a bit of a monopoly in the league. It is almost a guarantee that Sheriff will win the league, and that's in noticeable decline in football in Moldova. A lack of competitions has seen attendances in the Moldovan National Division fall quite considerably, when some clubs like Dacia Chisinau, one of the many clubs from the Moldovan capital of Chisinau, being forced to fold as they struggle to compete financially with the might that is Sheriff. Even for Sheriff fans, the inevitable titles in what was quite a competitive division has kind of become a bit boring, let's be honest, and you can see that in the attendances as they're dropping further as well in the Sheriff Stadium, although the economic contraction of Pridnestrovie also plays a major role in this. Sheriff Tiraspol are renowned for having such a diverse group of nationalities within their squad, with currently 17 nationalities in their group, ranging anywhere from Moldova to Greece to Trinidad and Tobago to even Malawi, 18 if you count Pridnestrovie. It's an attractive prospect for players to play for Sheriff, especially players from Africa. The guaranteed title every single season, there's a pretty solid chance that they're going to play in some sort of European football every single season. and that is an opportunity for them to of course showcase their skills to the rest of the continent in search of a bigger move, especially with the introduction of the new league, the UEFA Conference League. However, this season could be a dream come true. Sheriff Tiraspol breezed through the first qualifying round of the Champions League, beating Albanian side Tita 5-0 on aggregate over the 2 legs. They then went on and beat Armenian side Alashkert 4-1 in what was a very comfortable second leg. In the third round, Sheriff faced Serbian champions and 1991 Champions League winners Crvena Zvezda, where they fought to a 1-1 draw in Belgrade before finally beating them 1-0 in a very close game in Tiraspol. This put them a place in a playoff match against the Croatian champions Dinamo Zagreb to qualify for the Champions League, and not only the first time in their history, but as the first Moldovan football club to compete in the Champions League proper. And boy did they produce a fearless first leg, thrashing Dinamo Zagreb 3-0 in Tiraspol in what was an electric performance, especially from their 26-year-old Mali winger Adama Traore. No, not that one. This one, with the second leg being played on Thursday, the same day that this video gets uploaded. Should they avoid a 4-0 defeat in Zagreb, they will be playing in the Champions League this season, which is a huge achievement from the players and the club. Should this feat be achieved, then Sheriff achieves some success on the field, but also off the field as well in the transfer market when it comes to exporting their players to bigger, richer Western leagues. This would help make Sheriff a very attractive prospect for young players all around the world who are looking for a club that can help propel them into the limelight. Something that clubs like Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia and Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine are very good at. One look at Sheriff's state-of-the-art stadium and of course training facilities as well, as they have multiple training pitches, swimming pools, tennis courts, gyms, you name it, they've got the lot. That would be enough to convince any hungry young players to move to Tiraspol. The potentially sad reality with Sheriff is that their undisputed success at domestic level could actually be what limits them in the long term. As I mentioned before, the lack of competition and lack of money that there is in Moldovan football outside of Tiraspol, Moldovan clubs are struggling to stay afloat, and attendances for them and Sheriff as well are taking a dive. Although Champions League football will help revive those attendances, but only in the short term. Currently, the Pridnestrovie economy is suffering at the hands of Romania and Moldova, who are restricting the free movement of goods between them and Transnistria. Despite economic support from Russia, the Transnistrian economy is on the decline, forcing people to move away from the region to Moldova in search of better working opportunities. Seeing the population in Transnistria, Tiraspol in particular, starting to decline. Again, adding reason as to why attendances in the Sheriff Stadium, albeit a beautiful stadium, are starting to drop. Until economic conditions take a turn for the better in Transnistria, it could only be a matter of time before costs outweigh the benefits of running such a huge organisation like Sheriff, despite their huge backing. So I highly recommend that if they do make it to the Champions League, whether they're in your group or not, take the time to pay attention to their games. This could very well be the first and the last time you see a club from Pridnestrovie and Moldova compete in the Champions League, so enjoy it whilst it lasts. And if they are in your group, I'd highly recommend trying to get tickets to an away game so you can experience a country that you never knew existed in an ex-Soviet state that is locked in time before it is gone. You're probably not going to get this opportunity again. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today, guys. If you did enjoy today's episode, be sure to hit the like button for us. Most of you guys who are watching aren't actually subscribed, and if you do like this sort of content, you want to see more of this, then definitely hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all those that have done it for us already. We are growing massively on the channel at the moment, and if you want us to leave us some feedback, be sure to leave a comment down below. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon.
Being a stranger to what we lost, I'll keep my guard down and hope it comes back around, cause I still just feel like I'm gonna keep running.